Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah. We're just going to go ahead and start. And first of all, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to our channel so we can pretty much get any kind of production that is coming up in the future, which, by the way, we are very much are into it right now. And we're finishing the Torah calendar. And after that, we'll be coming with a new docu-series very soon, which is the 10 tribes in the Americas. So don't miss that because it's going to be awesome. Let's go ahead and start into this Torah portion, which is Kedoshim. And in this Torah portion, Kedoshim, I know they call it the sanctification in English, but that's not even close to the actual Hebrew word. So let's get into it. So Parashat Kedoshim brings us to where the moment where Yahweh tells Moshe to tell our forefathers in the wilderness to be set apart. Start off chapter 19 verse 1 of Vayikra or Leviticus all the way to 20 verse 7. Yahweh spoke to Moshe saying, "Speak to all the community of Bnei Yisrael and say to them, you must be Kedoshim or set apart. For I, your Yahweh, your Almighty, I am Kadosh, I am set apart." This is a direct command from Yahweh to Moshe to tell our forefathers in the wilderness to be set apart. What does it mean to be set apart? And that's what we want to find out. See, in the Christian world, they call it sanctification or to be saint or to be holy. But in reality, that English or any kind of language is not even close to the Hebrew. To be set apart means more than what the world meant. So let's find out what that meant. Well, Vayikra, Leviticus 11:44, "For I am Yahweh, your Almighty, your Ayil, and you are V'chikadeshtem," which means you are to be set apart, and you will be Kadosh, for I am Kadosh, I am set apart, and they will not be made unclean by some creeping thing that moves on earth. Now, this command that Yahweh is speaking to Moses, it's a direct command for our forefathers and nowadays for us to be set apart. What does it mean with the word? Let me show it to you. Which means to be set apart. This word is a process of separation. This process is not overnight. It's not that you're going to wake up and say, "Oh, wow, I'm already set apart." No, it is a process. It is levels that you have to walk into the eyes of the Creator. And that is by observing His commandments, observing His mitzvot. This is a process that even in the book of Revelation, Yahushua speaking to Yohanan, to John, says, "Those who are to be set apart, let them be Kedoshim, let them be more Kadosh, more set apart. And those who are immune, those who are filthy, let them be even more filthy." That tells you and me that it is a process of separation. This process is not going, once again, it's not going to be overnight. Let's find out another one. Once again, every level that we walk in every day by the learning of Torah, we go to another level, which, by the way, we are aiming to the Shemayim, to the heavens, to our Father Yahweh. That's one of the reasons why there is aliyahs or oles in the scriptures, in the Torah. There are 7, one for each day of the week. Oles means to ascend, or aliyah means to ascend to Yahweh. There is a Torah portion that is coming out very soon that is called Wecha Alotecha, which means when you ascend. which means that it is a command from Yahweh to all of us to ascend at least one level per year. At least. Supposed to be more, but at least. Now the million-dollar question is, how do we ascend to the Creator? What way? Give me an example, because they always ask, right? Well, let me tell you this. Just by the simple act of keeping Shabbat, that's where you start off the separation, the Kedoshim, the process of be Kadosh. Let me show you another verse. Leviticus 20 verse 7. Kedoshim, which means the separation process. You will be Kadosh, you'll be set apart for Yahweh, I am your Ayir Almighty. Did you see this? Once again, the Creator doesn't just say one time. He speaks so many times to be set apart. It is a process of separation. Separation from what? From the secular world, from the immune, from the unholy, what they call it unholy, but what is called to be things that are not set apart for Yahweh. The things that what is filth in the world, what they call it, good. Like today, what is good, they call it bad, and what is bad or evil, they call it good. We are living in these days, and we need to acknowledge, we need to recognize what is not Kadosh, what is not set apart to Yahweh, and what is set apart to Yahweh. And we have to be diligent when it comes to that. So this process, we supposed to ascend at least one, like I said earlier, one level per year, at least. And this is a command from Yahweh to all of us. Let's continue. Leviticus 19 verse 28. Nor to wound one flesh for the dead, nor to imprint on oneself any mark. I am Yahweh. What does it mean when he said not to imprint anything, any kind of mark on your skin? This implies making a mark on your skin, which is what they call it today, a tattoo. This tattoo is imprinted on your skin, and it's basically is there. It's there until the day of life. You die, which means that you won't be able to remove it. Nowadays, you can remove it by laser, but most of the time, people don't remove it. They just leave it because it's basically permanent. All this, Yahweh says that it is forbidden. But there is a good reason why Yahweh gives this kind of commands to all of us. And the reason for it is because I want you to understand something that I'm just about to say. In the ancient world, when the pagans used to make mark in their skin, if it was because of incantation, it was for a divination, it used to invoke their Elohim, their demons, and they needed to make a mark because they invoking this spell, and this spell, it was impregnated into their skin. A lot of people don't understand that they think it's a tale, but it's not. It is something real. Even though today they imprint, they go even farther, to imprint the name of the Creator in their flesh. And that's not a no-no. A definitely no-no. Why? Because Yahweh doesn't want his name to be just used for anything. Just because it is imprinted in your skin means that you're more set apart. No, brothers and sisters. The name of the Creator is supposed to be set apart in our lips, in our hearts, to give it to the nations so they can set apart as well, but not to be used to any kind of thing. We have to be careful when it comes to the name of the Creator. The word ga'aga, which means incision, imprint, sign, and tattoo. This gaga is something that the Creator says, don't make any incisions or any tattoo in your skin. Let's move on to a different gear. 1926, or Leviticus or Vayikra. Don't eat anything with blood on it. Do not practice divination or predict the future. See, a lot of people don't understand when it comes to blood, drinking blood, it has a lot to do with divination to predict the future, because the ancients used to do that. Even though today, we tend to think that this is not done today. It is done by the secret societies. They drink blood, and by the way, this blood is from babies, because there is the pureness of the baby. They get to drink it, and by the way, they get to use it. So that's why one of the reasons why they look very young. I'm talking about the high celebrities and high profile people, the elites, what they call it. They use this for divination, especially the pagan festival that is coming very soon, the 31st of October. You know what that is. They do a lot of child sacrifices, animal sacrifices in that very day. But not only that day, but that's a day that is very special to them. We have to be diligent. We have to be very careful when it comes to pagan practices, why the Creator says don't do it. Leviticus 17, verse 13. See, in that verse, the Creator says something that I want you to see something here. Look what it says here. 19, verse 19. You must keep my chukote, my ordinances. You will not allow your cattle to mate with a different species. You should not sow the field with two kinds of seed. And you should not wear clothes with mixture of two kinds of materials. Why is the question, right? Because we live in a society where they tend to mix all kinds of things. When it comes to seed, when it comes to animals, when it comes to texture or linen or any mixture of clothes, we tend to mix everything today because we tend to think that's the trend in the world, in the secular world. But the fact of the matter is that's not what it is, brothers and sisters. We have to be diligent when it comes to things like this. We have to be diligent when the Creator says, don't do it. And we have to be very diligent. So let's move on to a different mitzvah. And this mitzvah has a lot to do with our experience or the things that we accommodate ourselves. Okay? So the question is always why the world and even ourselves we mix with mixture, with everything. Do you know that the governments in plural, they are doing transhumanism, which is the mixture of animal and humans. What the governments are doing nowadays is that they want to make the super soldier, which is a mixture of an animal and human, so they can have the abilities. It's almost like a superhero, right? They're doing it today. They're doing the transhumanism. Even in the bunkers that are being found today, there are a mixture of those two. With babies, with humans, I'm talking about adults, okay? And they are a mixture of something that is an abomination to the Creator of doing these kind of things. See, all this, what I'm saying right now, is exactly as the days of Noah. Do you remember how it was in the days of Noah? How the mixture of I'm talking about the dinosaurs and everything that you can think that are being found. Dinosaurs are basically a mixture of reptile and humans, okay? Humans and also animals, mammals. For example, if you know about the Greek philosophy, you know that there are two kinds, they are mixture, right? The demigods, what they call it. Not only that, when it comes to the species of the what they call it today, the dinosaurs, is a mixture of the feathery birds with reptiles. That's why you can see that it has feathers and all that, and it has a mixture of a reptile, which is something that they actually did in the times of Noah. In the Torah portion of Noah, I talk about that a lot, about the Nephilims and stuff. Now, coming to the mixture of the materials, let's dig into what the Creator says. But let me show you this information. As for linen and wool, they have the highest atomic frequency signature in any fabric, the totaling of 5,000. So when the two are combined, they cancel each other down to zero. In other words, basically what it says here is that the super linens today are two, the wool and the linen. Those are the ones that are very effective to our bodies. But when you mix them together, it cancels themselves down to zero. Not only that, you start getting sick, by the way. And it's so true, because when you mix these two and you go to sleep and you wear them, you feel really weird. You feel with a headache. You feel like you're about to vomit. You feel really weird because it doesn't work that way. The Creator says, don't mix them together. See, maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20, 40 years before, we didn't know anything about this knowledge. But we are living in the last generation. So therefore, as the prophet said, that knowledge will increase. We are living in the age of knowledge. We need to know these truths so you can know the will of Yahweh in our lives. Now let me give you a little bit more information, but let me give you these verses first. The book of Devarim, Deuteronomy 22 verse 11, you should not wear clothing woven with two kinds of linen, wool, and together. So basically what it says here, don't mix them, because if you mix, something is going to happen, some kind of reaction that you don't want, which is a negative reaction. Let me give you this information. A doctor named Heidi Yellen did a study on fabrics, and this was the conclusion. The human body has the signature frequency of 100, and organic cotton is 100. Therefore, you don't want to wear a garment below 100 that is lower than the human body frequency. A sick person who is almost dead has a frequency of 15. And materials such as polyester, rayon, silk, and spandex are recorded as 15. Science shows that any fabric used that has a frequency of 100 in our body exerts a pressure on us, and that causes diseases, inflammations, and other diseases. The only super fabrics are wool and linen, both measuring 5,000, which energizes the body and helps fight disease. You see what I'm saying? All this is for your benefit, but when you don't follow the right recipe, so you understand what I'm saying, then some kind of reaction your body will get. See, we tend to think that Yahweh is want to make us like robot. Just turn left, turn right, don't do this, stay there, stop. No, Yahweh that's not like that. He gives us a free will. He gives us the momentum for us to think about things, because these directions are going to help your body. Exodus 28 verse 8. His decorated band shall be made of the same workmanship, and the materials of gold, the techelet, which is the blue thread, purple and scarlet, and a fine woven linen. So who was wearing this? It was the Kohen Gadol, which is the high official. This high official had to be in a level of frequency higher than you can expect it. So when he appears before Yahweh, he will be in a higher frequency. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is the linen that is very famous. This is the linen that Yahweh wants us to wear one time, okay, so he can help us, okay? And this is the wool that he wants us to wear in another time, but not together. Do you notice that even in the secular world, the trend goes like this? The linen, you wear them on summer, on the spring, because it's fresh. You don't tend to sweat, right? And the wool, you tend to wear it on winter because it protects you from the cold. You see how it works? But you cannot mix them both together. That is basically the golden rule. Exodus 28:39. You should weave the sheker robe of fine linen, make a turban of fine linen, and make a band, the work of a weaver, in colors. I'm showing you verses so you understand what I'm saying, so you understand, you grip exactly the point here, that even the Kohen HaGadol, the high official, was wearing this. Even in the book of Revelation, it speaks about Mashiach wearing a white linen. It's amazing. Let me bring in these facts so you understand some of the facts that linen has. Also, wool has it too, but I'm just going to bring about linen only on this time. Sleeping in linen helps people fall asleep faster and deeper. Improves mood. Considerate kadosh attire, which is true. Made of linen, it protects humans from gamma and solar radiation almost halfway, and protects against exposure to chemicals, the 5G radiation, and what it does to the body's cell. Linen helps provide protection, rapid healing from surgeries and other ailments, which will explain why hospitals use linen for their beds. And it's so true. I work in the medical field and I see this all the time. It helps so much. Resistant to fungi and bacteria. Barrier against some diseases. It regulates body temperature. Insulates in the cold and breathable in hot weather. Decrease skin diseases. Reduce inflammation and reduces fever. Cure neurological ailments. More durable than cotton and 2 to 3 times stronger. Helps repair the body by harmonizing with cells. Linen is the only cloth that is scepter internally in the body, in the human body, and said that the Egyptians also use it for bandages, which is actually true. High air permeability. Linen breathes naturally. Research shows that those who wear some of this linen 1.2 less than those who use cotton, and 2 times less those who use synthetic fabrics such as rayon, which will explain why Yahweh wanted his Kohanim, his officers, to wear linen when they serve the tent of the meeting. Now, all this information that I'm giving you is for you to understand why the Creator gave us so much emphasis in some of the things that we live every day, that we go by every day, which is nothing bad at all. This is something that you actually live every day, that you wear every day. No wonder why the Creator wants to give us directions how to live a meaningful life. The problem nowadays is that we tend to ignore these directions because we tend to think, oh, those are for the Israelites. Oh, those are just the old-fashioned way. We have a new trend now. It doesn't work that way. Yahweh's commands, Yahweh's Torah is forever. It surpasses ages. It surpasses time. Why? Because Yahweh is the character of Yahweh. Yahweh is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Now closing, let's switch to a different gear. I want to show you Helios because obviously the saints in the Catholic, they usually have a halo, right? It comes from the word Helios. Helios happens to be one of the Elohim, one of the gods of the sun. That's what Helios means. Even in the ancient coins, the Helios appeared. And no wonder why we recognize Helios with the lamp, that it reminds us of someone, right? Which is the Liberty woman or lady. This Liberty happens to be Satan because he's the light bearer. No wonder why all this takes place in the big apple. You see that big apple in the Garden of Eden? You see that? It's all connected. Look what it says here. Let's jump into to close. Book of Deuteronomy 23:17. No woman of Israel shall be a harlot of pagan worship, nor will any Israelite man be a prostitute of pagan worship. Now, why does Yahweh gives this direct command to our fathers and to us? Is because in the ancient world there were temples. For example, the temple of Aphrodite, the temple of Diana, that's one of or the temple of Shiva, right? Or the temple of there's so many pagan temples. The Asherah, that was a temple. And these temples, there were priestesses. These priestesses were prostitutes, not only male, but also female. Now let's look at what the word Kadesh, which is, by the way, let me pause here for a second. The word Kadesh is not just a positive word. This word Kadesh, basically the word Kadesh means to be set apart. But the question is, set apart for what? Or better off, set apart for who? The word set apart could be negative and could be positive. Let me just show you the negative one. Kadesh, which is sodomite, a sacred person at the vow to licentious idolatry, which happens to be the male prostitute. That's for the word Kadesh. So basically what we see here is a separation of evil and the separation of Kadosh. In the ancient world, of course, there were Kedoshim, there were prostitutes, but they were set apart for idolatry and for homosexuality and for all the things that you basically see nowadays in the secular world. It wasn't just woman, it was men. They were associated with sexual immorality, just like today. All this we see, and we wonder why the world it is the way it is. It's because we live in a society, we tend to think that things are not the same. They're probably different from the past, but in reality, it's not. We are living in the last era, in the last age, and we need to be vigilant when it comes to the things of the Creator. To close, I'm very happy that you are watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. There are more productions coming very soon, so be attentive because they are coming. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah. We'll see you next time. Shabbat Shalom.
We'll begin.